And hello. Today we'll be looking at group factorizing. So you should have already looked at the intro into factorizing with algebra before looking at this video. So just to recall, this is expanding brackets. I also have another video about this, so you might look at that before looking at this. I have 2x minus 8 and then this in brackets and then brackets x plus 3. So how would we do this? Well, if you remember, what we do is we split it up. So I'm going to take the first part of this bracket, 2x, and multiply it into everything here. Then I'm going to take the second part of this bracket and multiply it into everything here. That's where I got this line from. So 2x into multiplying into all this, minus 8 multiplying into all this. Okay, well, what's my next line going to be? 2x by x is 2x squared. 2x by 3 is 6x. That's the first part done. Now let's look at the next part. Minus 8 by x is just minus 8x. Minus 8 by 3 is minus 24. So all of this is just expanding brackets. If you're having trouble with this, I'd recommend looking at the expanding brackets video. So what do we do now? I have 2x squared plus 6x minus 8x minus 24. Can't do anything with this x squared. I can't do anything with this constant, with the number. However, I have 6x and minus 8x here. Well, I can add them together. So what's 6 minus 8? Well, that's going to be minus 2. So I have minus 2x left over. So this is called expanding. When we're given the brackets and we're told to expand it out, so multiply the brackets together. And eventually we end with this line. So you'll see why this becomes important later. But just remember, starting with brackets, and if we expand out, we end down here. Okay, factorizing then. So I presume you've looked at the fundamentals of factorizing video, and you'd know, okay, if we look at the first two here, and then we look at the next two. So I'm splitting them up into two sections. There's 4 bits. Let's look at the first two. What is the highest common factor of these? So I'm going to factorize these two things. And how do I do that? I need to find what's the highest thing that this and this has in common. What's the highest common factor? What can I divide this by and this by? So how do we do it? Well, we'll get on to that. What is the highest common factor of these? So I have minus 8x minus 24. So I've split it up into 2 bits, the yellow bit and the blue bit. So let's look at the yellow bit. Highest common factor of 2 and 6. So remember, we look at the number first. Well, what's the biggest number that will divide into 2 and 6? It's 2. Then we look at the variables. I have x squared and x. So what's the biggest variable that will divide into x squared and x? It's x. So the highest common factor is 2x. So I got the 2 from looking at the coefficient, the number in front of the x squared. And then I looked at the x's. I said, okay, well, what's the biggest thing that I can divide into x squared and x? That's just x. Now let's look at this. Look at the numbers. I have minus 8 and minus 24. I have an x. I have no x here, so I can't divide both things by an x. I'll only look at the numbers. Well, what's the highest common factor of these two numbers? Well, it's minus 8. I can divide this by minus 8. I can divide this by minus 8. Now you're probably wondering, why didn't we choose plus 8? Well, we could have, but we'll see why I chose minus 8 now in a second. So, okay, the highest common factor of these is 2x, and the highest common factor of these is minus 8. Now I can rewrite it. Now how did I get this? We saw in the previous video, once we take out the highest common factor, we have to rewrite these two things if we've taken out the highest common factor. So 2x by x, so the first part, 2x by x, that's where 2x squared comes from. 2x by 3, well, that's 6x. So all I've done is put these two things into a bracket. If I multiply 2x by these two things, I'll get these two things back. I'm going to do the exact same thing with minus 8. Minus 8, well, what do I have here? I have x, so minus 8x, and then 24, so minus 8 by, now it's not negative 3, because look, a minus by a plus is a minus. If the signs are different, it's a minus. And now I get minus 8x plus 3 in this an x plus 3 in this bracket. Now, so what I've done basically is I've factorized the highest common factor of these two, factorized the highest common factor of these two, and I've rewritten this line as this line. So this is really important to remember. How did I do this? I looked at the first two, I factorized. I looked at the second two, I factorized. Okay, so where do we go from here? Well, think about it now. We started off with this, and then we got to here. Yeah? Well, remember when we had these two brackets at the start? Where the previous example where I said, okay, let's expand these two brackets. And we got all the way down to 2x squared minus 2x minus 24. Well, what we've actually done is we've just moved to here. So expanding kind of moves you down this way. We are actually moving backwards because we started here and we got to here. So we can actually move back to the next step. Because think about it, 2x by x plus 3 minus 8 by x plus 3. That's the exact same thing as this. So what's going to be the next step? Well, it'll be this. So I can even factorize these two bits further. I can put this and this into its own bracket. Now, why can I do that? Because these two brackets are exactly the same. So I'm multiplying 2x into this bracket. I'm multiplying minus 8 into this bracket. That's the exact same thing as this line here. Do you remember when we said, oh, 2x into this bracket, minus 8 into this bracket? Now, the important thing to note is this bracket has to be the same as this bracket because that's how we go from here to here. If this bracket was different, we couldn't do this. We'd have to do something. And we'll see how we deal with that in a minute. This is the factorized state. So when we had 4 terms initially, and we got down to here, this is what we call the factorized version. So this is the group that we're in there. Now they're factorized. So this is really important to remember. How did I get from here to here? And how did I get from there to there? So expanding is I'm given the brackets and I multiply everything out and I work my way down to here. Factorizing is I'm starting here, or in this case we actually started here. In another lesson we'll see what happens if we start down here. And I'm working backwards. I'm going back to my original brackets. Let's look at this example. I have 8ax plus 4ay minus 6bx minus 3by. So again, I look at the first two. I look at the second two. Okay, well, what's the highest common factor of these two things? Looking at the coefficient first, at the number. 4 and 8. What number divides into 4 and 8? It's 4. I have an ay and an ax. What variable will divide into both of these? Can I divide this by an x? I can. I can't divide this by an x. I can divide this by a y, but I can't divide this by a y. But I can divide both of them by a. So that's where I got my 4a from. This is the highest common factor. Now, what's going to be left over? So I need to somehow see what's left over. Okay, I have 4a. If I divided 8ax by 4a, what would I get? Well, I've got 2x. So this should work out 4a by 2x. That's equal to 8ax. So if I actually just multiplied this, I'd get the 8ax. So that's fine. Okay, 4ay divided by 4a. Well, that's going to be the y. So let me multiply this bracket out and see that I get this. 4a by 2x, I get 8ax. 4a by y, I get 4ay. So that's good. So these two are now factorized. I have a bracket, and then I have a highest common factor into that bracket. Next bit. I have minus 6 and I have a minus 3b. Now I chose to do plus 3b. So do you remember before with our previous example, I chose minus 8. Let's see, why didn't I choose plus 3b here? So I'll choose plus 3b. Okay, first part. If I took out a 3b, that means I'm dividing this by 3b. What's going to be left over? Well, it'll be a minus 2x. So 3b by minus 2x, I get minus 6bx. Minus 3by divided by 3b, well, I get minus y. Now, here's the problem. These brackets need to be the same. That was our end goal, because then we can combine this and this into its own bracket. Are these brackets the same? No, they're not the same. You'll notice I have a minus here and a minus here, while these are both plus. So how am I going to get these brackets to be the same? This is what I'm going to do. If I change this to a minus 3 instead of a plus 3, well, it will change the signs of both of these. Because look, minus 3b by 2x, I get minus 6bx. Minus 3b by y, I get minus 3by. Now I have the same brackets. So now I can do my final step and combine these two bits together. So I get 4a minus 3b in one bracket, and both of these things are multiplying into the 2x plus y bracket. So that's where I get this final factorized state. Okay, another example now. Let's look at this. 2ax minus 6ay minus 3x plus 9y. I look at the first two, I look at the next two. So I'm going to take out a 2a. Why did I choose 2a? Highest common factor of the coefficient, the number. Highest common factor of the variable is a. 2a by x is 2ax. 2a by minus 3y is minus 6ay. That's where I got this bracket from. Okay, what am I going to take out here? Well, I'll take out, let's say, plus 3. So I get plus 3. Okay, well, I need minus 3x, so this is going to be a minus x. Plus 3, 9y. Okay, 3 by 3 is 9, and then there must be y. Okay, another problem. Not the same. Look, this is x minus 3y. This is minus x plus 3y. So again, we have a situation where the brackets are not the same. They're almost the same, but the signs are wrong. So how do we account for this? We just change the sign. It was a plus. If we change it to a minus, then these will change. Now I have these brackets are the same. So if the bracket and the bracket is the same, I can take out these two bits and put them in their own bracket. So I have 2a minus 3 in its bracket, and then I have bracket x minus 3. Again, the reason we combine it into one bracket is because 2a is multiplying into this bracket, minus 3 is multiplying into the same bracket, so I can just rewrite it like this, and that's it fully factorized. Okay, here's a recap question for you to do. So, this is a little bit trickier, and you'll notice if you tried to do it, you might not have worked. You can't factorize the first two. Well, you could take out a 2 here, but you'll notice there's an x squared and an a. So you can't take out a variable there. You can only take out a 2. While over here, yeah, there's an x and an x, but there's an a there as well. So I wonder, could we swap things around? And this is the trick with this question. So some questions, it needs to be swapped around. Some things need to be moved around to get these two brackets to be the same at the end. So what I chose to do is there's a 4x here and a 6x squared here. I'm going to put the x's beside each other and then the a's beside each other. And I chose that because there's two a's, so I can take out a variable here. And then there's two x's, so I can take out an x over here. So I rewrote it like this. 6x squared minus 4x plus 2a minus 3x. I've just moved things around. I haven't changed any values. What's the highest common factor of 6x squared and minus 4x? Well, I can divide both of them by 2, and I can divide both of them by x. That's what's going to be left over. So 2x by 3x is 6x squared. 2x by minus 2 is minus 4x. Then I took out an a for both of these. I can't take out a number because, look, it's 2 and 3. What number divides into 2 and 3? Well, 1 is the biggest thing, so it's just going to be 1a. I look at my brackets. Are the brackets the same? No. I need these signs. Look at the signs. They're not the same signs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this sign in front of the a, so it changes all the signs in the bracket. Now I have both brackets are the same, and when I have that, I can combine the first part, the highest common factor here, multiplying into the bracket, and I can combine the minus a, the highest common factor, multiplying into this bracket. Then I end up with this original line fully factorized.